Hi Year 9, this is take 35 of a little intro for you for the 4 rules of fractions. Just thought I'd give you a little bit of a reminder while I'm not there. So adding fractions, I've done the first couple for you. So 3/4 plus 4/5, I need to go for a common denominator. Now the smallest number that they both go into is 20, that's their lowest common multiple. Because I've multiplied that by 5, I do the same to the top, so that becomes 15 over here. I've multiplied that by 4, so I multiply this by 4, I get 16 over 20. Adding the numbers on the top, not the numbers on the bottom, adding the numbers on the top, I get 31 over 20. Cancelling that down, how many 20s in 31? Well, there's one whole one and 11 20ths left over. Here, I don't need to make them top heavy to add them, I can just add the whole numbers, so 2 plus 3 is 5, and then I can go about adding the fractions. So a half and 2/5, I can turn them both into tenths, that's the lowest common multiple. I've times that by 5, or times that by 5. I've times that by 2, or times that by 2. Adding the fractions, 5 and 4 make 9, and I keep the tenths on the bottom. Multiplying fractions, really lovely, straight across the top, straight across the bottom. 3 times 8 is 24, 4 times 9 is 36. 12 goes into the top, 12 goes into the bottom, it's common factor, highest common factor. So dividing the top by 12, I get 2. Dividing the bottom by 12, I get 3, so that's 2/3. When I multiply fractions and I've got mixed numbers like this, the first thing that I have to do is make them top heavy. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus the 1 makes 5, so that's 5 over 2. 1 times 5 is 5, plus the 2 makes 7. So that's 7/5. Straight across the top, 35. Straight across the bottom, 10. How many 10s in 35? Well, there are 3 and 5 tenths left over. 5 tenths can cancel down to a half, so I've got 3 and a half. Moving on to the subtracting fractions, again I'm looking for a common denominator, and I'm going to turn those both into 15ths. I've times that by 5, so I'll times that by 5. I've times that by 3, so I'll times that by 3. Subtracting the numerators, the numbers on the top, I'm left with 1/15, and there's no cancelling down that I can do here. This one, same thing again, going for a common denominator. I don't need to make them top heavy. I'm going to turn them both into tenths. I've times that by 5, so I times that by 5. Times that by 2, so I times that by 2. Take my whole numbers away, 2 take away 1 is 1 whole one, 5 tenths take away 4 tenths is 1/10. So that just leaves my dividing fractions, where we do the leave it, change it, and flip it. So I leave the first fraction as it is, 3/4. I change the sign from a divide to a multiply, and I flip the last fraction, so I turn it on its head. There's an 8 there. 3 times 9 is 27, and 4 times 8 is 32. Now there's nothing that goes into the top, nothing that goes into the bottom, so I can't change that. The last one is a mixed fraction, so I've got 2/3 divided by 1/5. Again, like multiplying, if I'm multiplying or dividing and I've got mixed numbers, I must make them top heavy. So making this one top heavy, I've got 2 times 3 is 6, plus that one makes 7, so that's the same as 7/3. Divided by 1 times 5 is 5, plus the 2 makes 7. 7 over 5. Now I'm going to apply my leave it, change it, flip it. So I leave the first fraction as it is, I change the sign to a multiply, and I flip the last fraction. Straight across the top, 35. Straight across the bottom, 21. Now I know 7 goes into top and bottom. I'll talk about cancelling down before you do the operation another time when I'm there with you. So 7 goes into the top 5 times, and 7 goes into the bottom 3 times. It's a top heavy fraction. 3 into 5 goes once, with 2/3 left over. If any of the questions you come across today are anything like this, 6 times 1/3, imagine that that is 6 over 1. and then you can just go straight across the top, straight across the bottom. Okay, so if you see anything like that, a whole number, put that whole number over 1, because that line really means divide. If you divide anything by 1, the value stays the same. Now I'm going to try and get all of this in shot so that you can copy this into your exercise books. It's typical, isn't it? It's like almost go in, but it won't quite. One second. So if you can copy that into your orange books, please, and then you can continue on with the worksheets that you've been given. Thank you very much to whoever's covering. I'm sure they'll be absolutely amazing for you. Thank you.